stand up against what's happening in Palestine and demand that democratic leadership takes a stand. Courts have issued hundreds of demolition orders that force Palestinians to demolish their own homes. If Palestinians refuse to destroy their homes, the Israeli government demolishes it and fines them. Families in Palestine are facing both psychological and physical terror from the Israeli.
Hello everyone! It's so good to see you all here in solidarity with the Palestinian struggle for freedom. I am a proud anti-Zionist Jew fighting for the liberation of Palestine. Fighting in solidarity for the humanity and autonomy of the Palestinian people. The Zionist project has created an ongoing Nakba, a catastrophe for Palestinians. This latest outrage from the Israeli state to demolish the homes of Palestinians in the Silwan and Sheikh Jarrah neighborhoods of Jerusalem, as well as the theft of land in the village of Wadi Fokin and throughout surrounding areas, these are war crimes. Violent, inhumanitarian war crimes. Infuriatingly, these war crimes and crimes against international law are not at all unusual for the Israeli state. The Israeli state has been carrying out these inhumanitarian war crimes since its founding in 1948. The ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from their own land has always been the clear goal of Zionism. This is not a conflict of two equal sides. This is apartheid power oppressing the indigenous peoples of Palestine. As a proud member of Jewish Voice for Peace, I support the Palestinian call for boycott, divestment, sanctions against Israel. I support this powerful nonviolent movement to end Israel's violent, vicious, inhumane colonial rule. Despite this ongoing ethnic cleansing, Palestinians have risen up in resistance, as they have done since the founding of Israel. They have risen up in unity, and we are here to show solidarity. This is a hopeful moment. We will see a free Palestine. I was raised as an Orthodox Jew. Our rabbi taught us that Judaism stands for social justice. But let me say it loud and clear. Israel has nothing to do with Judaism. And everything to do with holding on to its oppressive power. Israel is a settler colonial state oppressing the indigenous people of Palestine. After the Holocaust for Jews in Europe, we said never again. This means never again for anyone. Israel claims to speak in my name because I am Jewish. I therefore have a right and also a responsibility to speak back. All Jews of conscience, all Jews who truly believe in Judaism, should speak out against Israel's horrific injustice against Palestinians.
That's right.
We are here today standing in front of the federal building to demand that the U.S. government, our government, end its unconditional military aid to Israel. The U.S. gives a free pass to Israel to continue to commit these crimes against humanity, against the humanity of the Palestinian people. Israel commits these crimes with the full cover of the U.S. government. So we are here to demand of our representative, Nancy Pelosi, that as a powerful representative in the U.S. government, she moved to force the Israeli government to halt the expulsions and demolitions. And most of all, let's bring it to the U.S. government to end U.S. military aid to Israel and its collusion in Israel's apartheid regime. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Hi everyone, my name is Khalid and I'm a youth organizer. Right now, in Sheikh Jarrah and Nabi Saleh, youth armed with their words and their cameras resisted a $20 billion army. Around the world, Palestinian youth mobilized their own communities. We kept tens of millions of eyes on Palestine for weeks, despite censorship and death threats. On May 15th, right here in San Francisco, 10,000 people took to the streets. I was moved beyond words by the fact that I couldn't even see the pavement. Many members of our community were speechless as they watched the world heard our cries. The state of Israel's acts of ethnic cleansing and genocide happen every day. They take on many forms, from bombing us, to denying our movement on our own lands, to mowing down our towns and renaming them. And all these things are happening in Silwan right now. I'm not going to end this by saying we are the future, or by saying the most important thing we can do is use our voices, because there hasn't been a single day in which we stopped using our voices. We are winning. We are winning. We defeated the Israeli Zimliner when they tried to unload in Oakland. When they tried to unload again, and again, and again. A historic push for policy change is happening right now. Together we hold infinite strength and power. We demand the end to funding Israeli apartheid. The most important thing to remember is this: we will not be the people that tried to prove to the world that we were the good ones, that we deserve respect. We demand respect. We demand the right to live, the right to move, the right to be free. The only way we will see this change, right now is if we rise up together. We hold the power. We won't stop. We won't stop until we're free.
For being the first in the country, education labor, of endorsing a resolution in support of BDS in Palestine right here in San Francisco.
I would like to introduce our next speaker, Frank Lara. Frank Lara is an organizer with Answer and is a newly elected Executive Vice President of UESF. Give it up for Frank.
Mike Dance. Hola, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. So part of the introduction as well, they were saying that I'm an Answer organizer, and today was actually my first day at another job. I have been a teacher for about 10 years in Buena Vista Horace Mann, San Francisco's Mission District. And today was a job, I guess somewhat as a bureaucrat, became the Executive Vice President of United Educators of San Francisco. And I only say that because it's a proud moment to come into that leadership. The fact that this resolution passed by the General Assembly of Educators, and it's the first in the nation to support the Palestinian liberation struggle, support against BDS, and really what is just for the Palestinian people. And so I'm just going to tell you a little story of why I think this is a very important moment. And if you're like me out there in this crowd, I joined these marches about 11 years ago on the street. And I remember joining even, I think it was probably in high school, I don't know, a lot of back then, and these great Palestinian youth who brought in so much energy like the new generation. You fight as a Palestinian because you have no other choice in order to live. And you will continue to fight because you have no other choice in order to live. And I say that because if you're here in the belly of the beast, why is it that you fight? Do you have a reason to fight? Often, we treat workers here in the abstract like if we have no struggles. I'm telling you, I just came out of a classroom, a year of distance learning. A year that for educators was all right. It wasn't the best education that we could give. It wasn't our professional act. But compared to the families we were serving in public schools, we were doing all right when our kids were being lost by the school system. 8,000 students were completely disconnected from SFUSD. We had situations of mental health, suicide. We had situations where kids couldn't even get on Wi-Fi and they couldn't even attend your class. In the richest country in the world, we could not serve our children. And I say that because that is our fight. Educators are in the front line trying to protect the basic dignity of children. The basic institution that should grant them a future. And so it's no surprise that educators across the country are standing up for social justice, are standing up for Black Lives Matter, for immigrant rights. And it's inevitable that they will make the connection the way you're making the connection here today with the messages that they want to fight for Palestinian rights, for Palestinian human dignity. So the question to you, the next generation, is what are we going to do so that in 10 years you are the leaders of these organizations that lead workers here and demand justice not just here in the U.S., but for workers all over the world. The people around me have proven that that's possible. Today again was the first day. The real struggle comes now. UESF just passed this resolution. We will be a target. Of course. But just like Palestinians understand that they have no other choice, we have to understand that we cannot sell out our values for political pressure and say them were for the future. We're saying them for children. Or that we're standing up for some sort of justice. So I'm really happy to speak to you today, especially particularly this day, because we have a lot of work to do. And the leaders are talking to each other. There's a resolution going around right now for the SF Labor Council. If you're a unionist and you're like, what is that? I've never participated in that. Because, oh, that's some bureaucracy, that's some stuff. Where are you at though? Why aren't you there? Why aren't we connecting the struggle, your union struggle, your workers' struggle, your community struggle to the struggle of the Palestinian people? Communists, youth, comrades, friends, there is a lot of opportunity now. And the opportunities keep opening up. But we, the next generation, don't get caught up in saying, well, they never listened to us. Well, that's not possible. Well, that's not this. You be that answer. You be that warrior. You be that fighter that's going to stand out for what's right. Connect with the next person who's doing the same. Do not focus on what's preventing you from fighting. Be like the Palestinians and know that you just have to fight. Thank you so much for the support. I'll end it with my favorite slogan that goes, Viva
father's family was sent to Topaz, Utah, lost their restaurant in West Oakland. My mother's family was sent to Jerome, Arkansas, lost their farm in Fresno, California. They met each other when they came back to the Bay Area after 1945 or so. And I think about it ironically, because that was about the time of the build-up to the Nakba. And so historical events kind of weave together, I think, when we begin to reflect on who we are individually, but who we are collectively in the world, and the ways in which the forces work around all of us and bind us together in a common humanity. So as I think today about a lot of the attention around anti-Asian hate that's going on, obviously what I want to say is no hate to Asians, but no hate to Palestinians as well. The seeds of evil, of hatred that are so treacherous to the Palestinian people need to be stopped. And they need to be stopped systematically in the ways that they manifest themselves. I also greet you today as a United Methodist clergy and one of the conveners of the United Methodist Kairos response, which we convened in 2009 in response to the Kairos Palestinian document, calling for solidarity with Palestinian Christians and all Palestinian people, and for activation of the BDS movement. And I'm proud to say that in 2016, after many years of wrangling with our Board of Pensions, that they made a policy to divest from, they made a policy to divest from Israeli banks and real estate companies doing business in the settlements. Of course, that was just one small step, but that group continues to work forward each and every day with BDS, and particularly now with the passage of HR 2590. I give you a shout out from UMKR and a word of solidarity from United Methodists that have been working through these past years for the freedom of Palestinians. But finally, what's on my heart today is that as a co-chair of the Friends of Wadi Fuqin, I just want to share with you what's going on there. It's a small village in the West Bank, in the Bethlehem district, right on the Green Line, southwest of Bethlehem, about 15 minutes. We've been in partnership as United Methodists since 2009 with the village, and what we've seen is the gradual and incremental takeover of land. We know the formula. Israel bombs Gaza. After things seem to calm down in terms of the world attention, they start taking over more land in the West Bank. 2014, what they did is they demolished 1,300 fruit trees in the village. After people were clamoring and protesting about the bombing in Gaza, slowly and incrementally and without the people watching, this is what's taking place. So what's happened in the most recent time of ceasefire is continual land annexation. And the word we've gotten most recently is that land is being annexed for the building of an apartheid road. They will take land from the village, build a settler road to the east portion of the village, building the infrastructure of the settlement enterprise there in the village. But not only that, like in Silwan, people are now, in this last week, been given demolition orders to go to court for buildings that they have built for like compost facilities, for water wells, and even some homes that have been built from 7 to 10 years ago, saying now that those are illegal because they never got the permits, just like what's happening in Silwan. So I just want to ask us to take a moment, because this is real, my friends. It's happening right now. It's not something that's going to be happening next month or 2 weeks from now. It's happening right now, and I think the focus we've had today for those in Silwan who've gotten those orders, the bulldozers have already come in and leveled a business. It's happening right now. And so as we stand here at this building and we talk about holding our government accountable from the top of our leadership and Nancy Pelosi, yes, we talk about no more funding for this. We say no more funding for land confiscation, home demolitions, no more destruction of Palestinian lives and land. No more, my friends. And we don't want our money to be used in that way to systematically destruct the lives of our brothers and sisters and siblings there. But we have to also ask for them to intervene, and intervene right now. We have to intervene right now because this is going on right now. Amen? We hear me? We have to stop this right now, and this is what we're going to be doing, and we ask for your help for the village of Waifu King and for the people in Silwan and Sheikh Jarrah, because this has to stop. This has to stop. We know the phrase that Martin Luther King often quoted when he said, "The arc of the moral universe is what? It is long, but it bends towards justice." The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Well, we know that when we have our moral center. We know that that's how we're operating out of. But friends, the reality is, the arc of the political universe does not bend toward justice. It bends towards money. The political universe bends with the winds of the political machinations that go on in this country. And we've got to change that. We've got to be centered morally and spiritually, because we're living in a country that is spiritually bankrupt. And King also talked about what it meant to be spiritually bankrupt when you spend more money on war machinery than you do on people's needs. And our brother from the school district, Lara, talked about it. What's going on right now with the people on the ground here. And King spoke about it in calling out the triple evils of militarism, racism, and poverty that was going on then in '67 before he got killed, because he was calling out the empire of the military. And as he called that out, it was in the context of the Vietnam War, and we knew it was about killing Asian people with brown and black people. While we have no funding for schools, we have no funding for housing, we have no funding for health care. Why he was calling then on this intersectional solidarity from the people on the ground and the people around the world to stop this madness. Because it is madness, my friends. And so that same formula of evil is taking place now with militarism, racism, and poverty. And it's such an example there in Palestine and how it is manifested there. So my friends, we must stop this madness and begin today. We must intervene with what's happening with people's home destructions and land confiscation today. And we must continue to call on our democratic leaders to stop this madness from the cores of the halls of the political machinery of this country, so that the arc of the moral universe indeed does bend towards justice instead of toward money. Free, free Palestine!
Permit that unity to divide us, because that unity will make sure that we end with this monster. Thank you very much.
Y en agradecimiento a nuestras compañeras latinas que están aquí, voy a decir un canto. ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Unidad! Primeramente quiero decirles que yo no estoy aquí en solidaridad. Estoy para unir mi puño con ustedes. Y también estoy feliz de ver a tanta gente que está luchando por la vida.
Good afternoon. I would like to say that I am not here in solidarity. I am here with you all. And it is a joy to see so many people fighting for justice.
Porque es importante que nos veamos unos a los otros y que ya empecemos a luchar por la vida, a luchar por cada uno de nosotros, porque no podemos permitir que con nuestros impuestos el militarismo siga avanzando.
And so I'm here today to say that we cannot permit that our tax money continues to fund the militarization and displacement of people.
El militarismo, a través de la policía, a través de la migra, a través
And so I speak about militarization because with all of the equipment that is also used by ICE to control us and terrorize us, we will not permit that to happen.
Y esto, compañeros, lo vemos todos los días, en cómo las fuerzas policiales matan, asesinan a nuestras comunidades negra, latina, asiática y de Palestina también.
And so with this, we see, comrades, how this system of militarization continues to kill black and brown and people from Palestine.
El militarismo en Palestina es una expresión de lo que no debemos permitir, porque eso se está alimentando en nuestros impuestos. Aquí se decide cómo les venden armas, aquí se decide cómo le ayudan para exterminar a este pueblo, hermano nuestro, de nuestra humanidad también.
And so we will not permit that our tax dollars are used for this genocide, because it is here where it's decided the military weapons that are being used against our siblings in Palestine.
Y tenemos que decir las cosas como son. No podemos permitir el exterminio de la gente palestina por el gobierno de Israel, confabulado con el gobierno de este país.
And we have to say it loud and clear in how it is. We will not permit the displacement and genocide of the Palestinian people funded by the U.S. and conducted by the Israeli government.
Y hay un grupo que nos marea cada que son las elecciones, ¿verdad? El grupo democrático. Nancy Pelosi, representada por ese grupo. Pues vamos a exigirles, vamos a obligarles a que detengan esta masacre. Vamos a impedirles que usen nuestro dinero para seguir exterminando a este pueblo hermano.
And so there's always that group, right? That group that tries to confuse us. That group is the Democratic leadership in Nancy Pelosi. And so we are telling her today that we will not stand with her in this explosion and in this genocide. And we will not permit the funding and the bombing, and we ask for that to end now.
Y queremos una reforma migratoria pareja. Queremos que ya se impida el desplazamiento de nuestra comunidad aquí mismo en San Francisco. Están haciéndole daño a los jóvenes que de por sí fueron tratados como bestias y traídos aquí en este país por narcotraficantes y que ahorita se ven desplazados de la zona de Tenderloin, que es la zona en que les daban la ayuda para seguir sobreviviendo. ¿Y qué sucede con esto? Que estos jóvenes, al verse sin nada, no les queda otra que estar vendiendo las drogas que ellos mismos, malamente por este sistema de explotación, están viéndose en la necesidad o en el momento de hasta consumirlas. Y ellos de esta manera están siendo pagados por el trabajo de estar vendiéndolo en las calles. Esto es inhumano, y como esto lo vemos en todo el mundo y no podemos seguirlo permitiendo.
And so we also demand a fair immigration reform for our undocumented youth and families. We will not permit the continued displacement of our undocumented youth who are in the Tenderloin, who are now being displaced by the federal government and targeted for surviving. A lot of the youth that are targeted are forced to sell drugs and are forced by drug lords who then forced them to stay in the Tenderloin selling such drugs, and now are being moved from there where they're able, from the Tenderloin, where they're able to receive services, where they're able to receive food, and they're being forced to stay away from that area. And so we will not permit that either. And that's why we demand that this stops now. And to kill our people and to continue displacing many, many others.
Compañeros, ya nada nos puede impedir la unidad. Es importante que la unidad surja fuertemente en todas nuestras comunidades. No podemos permitir que nos sigan desuniendo. Tenemos que estar juntos, uniendo en un solo puño nuestras luchas para destruir a este monstruo que nos está atacando en todo el mundo. Muchas gracias.
Prisoners imprisoned in Israeli prisons donated funds to the people of Haiti. And the people of Haiti have never forgotten that. And so today, as Gaza lays in ruins, as Sheikh Jarrah is attacked, as people are being removed from their homes, people in Haiti and those of us who support the Haitian movement stand with the Palestinian people. We have had enough of Nancy Pelosi. We have had enough of Democratic Party leaders getting a pass around Palestine. It doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden, if it's McConnell or Schumer, if it's Nancy Pelosi or Kevin McCarthy. If they are funding Israeli terror, we have to say no. No more. The same is true in Haiti. The Biden administration is continuing to fund, not with $3.8 billion, but with millions, the illegitimate dictatorship in Haiti led by Jovenel Moïse. They just recently announced that they support his right to hold elections in September, elections which will be a fraud, which are being held under dictatorship, under terror. Just